Welcome back. So in this video, what we're going to cover is how to get your code editor all installed, set up, ready to go so you can start vibe coding and start building out websites with AI in no time. So the first thing we need to do is just open up your browser, go to either VS Code or Visual Studio Code. It's going to take you to this site. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're Windows or Mac, it's going to take you to the download page that is going to be for your operating system. So just go ahead and download this and install it. It's completely free. And once you do have that installed, open it up and we're going to get started. Once you have it open, you should have a page that looks just like this. And from here, we can click on open. And just go ahead and let's go to your desktop. And if you don't have a folder here called projects, now's a good time to go ahead and make one. Again, you can really put this folder anywhere you want. So it could be in your documents, it could be on your desktop like I have mine. And then straight inside of there, you can go ahead and add your project folder. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a new one right here. I'm just going to go new folder, and I'm just going to call this website. Awesome. So now I'm going to go ahead and click open. And yes, I want to trust that. Cool. And once I have that open, I'm good to go. Now from here, we're going to jump over, we're going to actually go and create a GitHub account and connect that up to our VS Code. That will be in the next video. Okay, so now it's time to get your GitHub account. So, and if you already have a GitHub account set up, fantastic, you can use that. But for those of you that don't have GitHub, or maybe don't even know what GitHub is, let's just cover that real fast. And we'll get it going for you so we can connect that over to your VS Code editor. So GitHub, what is it? It is primarily a version control system. So that means if you have a website and you want to push up new changes, it will have all of your code in what's called a repository. And as you push up those changes, they'll all be there, but in different versions, so you could always roll those back. This works fantastic, especially if you're working with multiple developers, because you could have, let's say, 10 different developers working on one project, and you want to be able to bring in changes from one developer, but you also want another developer to look at those changes, make sure they're all good, maybe make comments on those. And when everything is all perfect, GitHub will allow you to merge those changes in without destroying everything and breaking your project. So that is what GitHub is in a nutshell. There's a whole lot more to it, but I just wanted to give you kind of a quick glimpse. But why are we here? We're here because you really need to have a GitHub account for a couple different reasons for this course. One is, first of all, this thing's free. So it's just like VS Code. It's actually, they're both owned by Microsoft. So that's why they connect so well together. Now, the great thing about this is that you'll set up a free account, connect that over it. That's what actually enables the GitHub Copilot in VS Code so that you can actually start building this website and start vibe coding. So from here, again, just go GitHub, just type it into either Google or github.com. It's going to take you here. So we really don't have anything that we absolutely have to install from here. We can actually just keep this all web-based for now. So just click on sign up. And again, I actually already have an account, so I'm just going to go ahead and log in. For those that are new to GitHub, go ahead and go through this process. Again, remember, it's a free setup. There is a paid version that you can do. And it's actually not very expensive. So I'm going to go over that in a little bit. But for right now, just set up the free and you can get started. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to sign in. And I'm just going to use SSO through Google. Fantastic. So here's my account. And if I jump into any one of these repositories, I can see I have, in fact, I'll just go to kind of like my home. So this is kind of my profile page with, a couple different repositories, and I can jump into any one of these. Right now, we're going to keep it simple. We're just going to get this connected over to your VS Code. But later, we actually will be diving more into GitHub because I'm going to show you a couple different hosting paths that you can take for getting some of your new projects out and, viewable to the world. So for right now, we have the account set up. We're logged in. That's kind of what we need to have happen. So now, if we just jump straight back over to VS Code, in the upper right-hand side, actually right here, right on the other side of this little search bar, you'll see this little chat icon. Okay. So this is what you use inside of VS Code natively to go and open up your chat window to start using AI. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to give me this little pop-up, and I can, sign in with Google, continue with Apple, yada, yada, yada. What I really want to do here is I want to continue with GitHub. Okay. That's going to take me over to here so I can do my authentication and actually connect up. This is the account that I want to use. So I'll go continue. And it's going to take me right back over to VS Code. And from here, I can open up my chat. I'm just going to start a new one. And from here, I can go ahead and start building out my new projects. All right. So now that we have your code editor all set up, you've got GitHub account created and connected over to your VS Code, you're ready to go. So now all we need to do is pick a concept, something that we want to build for this sample project. Now, the great thing is with a course like this and with a project like this, you actually don't have to build the exact same thing that I'm going to build. The process is going to be the same, but you actually could pick a different topic. Now, the topic that I'm going to use is for a client that's an interior designer, and I'm going to build a site for that client. Now, let's go through what's the real first step is let's go out and find a site that we like as an example, just to give the AI something to work with. So I'm going to jump back over to my browser. And I've actually already gone and looked at a few different interior design websites, and I found this one is pretty decent. It should work. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll use this as my, let's say, inspiration site for the AI. Remember, the AI, we actually get to work with it just like it's our junior developer or our designer. So I'll use this. Now we're also going to need to have a way to get images. So we can't just grab these images from this website. What we're going to do is we're going to use a royalty-free site, so a stock imagery site. And there's one that's fantastic. You can set up an account with it, but you don't have to. It's completely free. You don't have to pay for it. And it's called Pexels. So, by the way, so that you can follow along, I'm going to be putting links to both that interior design site so you can follow along exactly in the same way and use that as a inspiration site. And I'll leave a a link to pexels.com. So I'm just going to go Pexels. And again, you can just do a search or it's just pexels.com. And again, it's not pixels, it is Pexels. So Pexels. And again, from here, if you have an account already, fantastic. If you don't, that's all good. You can still use this for what we're going to do. So just so you get an idea, you can, from here, you can actually go find imagery that you like. So if I wanted to look up interior design or home interior, how about that? Okay, fantastic. And then I can find some different imagery and I can actually use some of this. And we're going to go over that in just a little bit. But for right now, all we need is those URLs. So I'm going to come back over. I'm going to grab this URL, just copy it, come back over to the editor. Okay, in my chatbot or in my little prompt, for one, you can actually change some of these initial settings. So depending on what your code editor went ahead and gave you by default, this one is pretty good. So you can click on the type of actual chat model that you want to utilize. So you can use things like GPT 4.0, 4.1, that's OpenAI. Or you can use Claude, which is another company similar to OpenAI. And that's actually what I'm going to use. I'm going to use Claude Sonnet 4.5. And again, you can play around. You can try some different ones and see if one ends up creating a better outcome than another one for you. Again, imagine it as just different designers that you can try out. But I'm just going to keep it with that. That's cool. And I am going to just type in here, create a modern and professional website for an interior designer or interior design. Yeah, interior designer. And let's give it a name. Let's call it Design for Your Home. Okay, so we'll say for an interior designer company called Design for Your Home. And if you want, you can toss that into quotes, but it should understand it just like it is. Okay, then from here, let's go ahead and just give it a little bit more instruction. So, for example, I'm just going to go Shift and Enter so that I just go to a new line. I just like to keep my prompts organized in this way. So now I'm going to say, build a landing page or home page, services page, and about us page, and a contact us page. Perfect. And spell that correctly. Drop down another line. What else do we want to say? Let's give it the sample inspirational site that we want it to go off of and use this website as inspiration for the design. And I'm just going to go colon and then just paste that straight in. Drop down another line. For the images, use, and I can actually just type it in here. I can just go pexels.com. It'll know how to get to it. And honestly, with that alone, I can get this going. So we'll go ahead and start. Just click enter, and this thing is going to start building it out. The very first thing it's going to do is it's going to tell me what it's going to do. It basically starts putting together its plan of action, and it'll start putting together some of its to-do list. So also along the way, it's going to be asking you permission to either go out and grab information from other websites or to run certain commands on your computer. So from your terminal for the most part. So in this case, it's asking me, hey, can I go fetch this web page so I can take a look at it? We're like, absolutely, because that's what I just asked you to do. So I'll say allow. Cool. So it's going through. Okay, we'll just keep going allow. So there's going to be a lot of that where you're going to go through and allow it to do different things. Again, that way you're a little bit more in control of what it's actually doing. Right now, what it's doing, it's actually researching that website for inspiration. And it's created its to-dos. It's going down. So it's done its research. And now it's creating the HTML structure and CSS files. And if we take a look right over here, you can see it's already got the index HTML started. It's already building out some of the code. So also along this path, it's going to be having some of these little prompts where it has like file changes and you can do keep and undo. For the use case of this course, you'll just be doing keeps and allow for most of these items. So I'm just going to go keep. And so I just put in all these changes. Again, that's going to be our homepage. If this is completely the first time you've ever built a website, the homepage for a site is generally an index page. So it'll be index.html or index.htm or index.js or .php. So it's going to be something like that. That's just a common naming convention that's used for web design. Okay, so it's still going. And this actually could take a little while. It's not going to take a long time, but it could take up to, 5 minutes or so as it goes through all the different things, because it does need to go and grab images and start building out file structures and folder structure. Fantastic. I can see now it's already got like the About Us page built out, the Contact Us, services, and I can jump into any one of these and just take a look, and we'll go ahead and do keep. Remember, we'll go ahead and keep those changes. Okay, so it's, again, created the 6 to-dos. Now it's created all those pages. Now it does still need to create the CSS files. And then it's going to go down and start building out some of these pages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video here. We're going to come right back once this gets a little further along. You just stick with it. And again, as it starts going through some of the allow and keeps, just go ahead and click on the allows, click on the keeps, and keep going until it's all the way finished. And I'm back. And we're all done. That actually didn't even take 5 minutes. I think it ended up being about 3.5. So now I can see all 6 to-dos are completely done. I actually don't know how this is going to look yet. Again, that's kind of one of the fun things about building in this way, because you don't completely know what you're going to get. It's a Forrest Gump thing. It's a box of chocolates, right? So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm also going to click keep. That keeps all the changes. I can see that there's over 1,000 changes on a couple different files. So fantastic. I'll go and keep all of those. And I should have a website. Let's go take a look. One of the easiest ways that you can see this, any kind of website or any kind of web project, especially when it's just static HTML like this. You can just open these straight up in your computer. It's just going to naturally open up in your browser, and you'll be able to click around and see it. So that's what we're going to do right now. And that's called looking at this, locally. So on your computer. So it's not on the web. It's just going to be on your local computer. So I'm just going to go to this index.html, and I'm just going to right click on it. This is one way to do it. You can go about this in a couple different ways, but I'm just going to go, I can go open with, or I can even just go reveal in Finder or reveal in Explorer if you happen to be on Windows. Let's go open with. Yeah, no, I don't want to do it inside of there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reveal in Finder. So I'm going to go reveal in Finder. So right click, reveal in Finder, or reveal in Explorer if you're on Windows. And then that's just going to open up the folder that has all these files. From here, all I have to do is double click on it. Not right click, just double click. It's going to open up in a browser. And fantastic. It built me out a beautiful site. The one thing, what I forgot to tell it is to make this thing responsive. And it didn't come out exactly like the other one, but that's fine. This actually is still pretty decent. Now, what I am curious about is how responsive it is. Meaning, is it going to shrink and look better on smaller devices like phones? So I'm going to go ahead and I'll just right click. This is one way to do it. Right click, go to your inspector. And in your inspector, by the way, my browser happens to be Chrome, but it's pretty close to the same thing. If you are in Edge or Firefox, you can do the same process. You can also just shrink down your whole window and size it down. Either way works. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little icon here, which is going to automatically give me another view for mobile responsiveness. So here, and I can stretch this out and I can start seeing where its breakpoints are and so on. Perfect. So it does look good mobile. And it did use design for your home. Like I said, now you can come up with something else. You can actually even say, hey, I want to use this logo, and you can toss that in and it will use it. So it built out a pretty decent looking site. And again, in under 5 minutes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and close that out so I can see it full screen. And I can see all the different imagery. It all has rollover effects. These look fantastic. It grabbed images straight from Pexels. So that's great. Even here, a perfect professional footer. If I click on Get in Touch, I have a contact page here, which even has some of the basic fields that you would have if you were an interior designer, like your project type. So it's a commercial design with a budget range between $25,000 and $50,000. Tell us about your projects in this message. And it's all this stuff to get you started. Then you can just add and change this information, right? You can change anything inside of here. I just want to also check over services, about us. And one of the things I can see here is okay, this is pretty decent. It's not bad, but you know what? It would be nice to have a gray image up here in the banner for the About Us page and the Services page. And let's see, the Contact Us page. So let's go see if we can get that done. So that's one of the fun things about building like this is you can keep telling the AI the changes and updates that you want to see. So we're going to cover making some changes in the next video. Okay. So to make some changes here, so again, we want to go ahead and get some images here on services, about us, and so on, right? And also our contact us page. So what we want to do, let's jump back over to our editor. And we can tell the AI, hey, that's great. I personally like to have a little bit more of a banter back and forth versus just giving commands. So they can just say, hey, that's great, but let's add images to the, and you could call them banners or hero positions. I'll just call them banners. So banner headers on the About Us and Services and Contact page. Now remember, like I told you before we started this, what you wind up getting is probably not going to look like that. Each time, imagine that you're working with a totally different designer, right? So even though we're both using AI, we're both following the exact steps. And even if you put in the exact text that I wrote out from my prompt, the outcomes can be completely different. So it's actually, again, I find that one of the fun things, but it's not always going to be consistent. So anyway, let's go and see what happens here if I go ahead and say, let's add some images to the banner headers on the About Us, Services, and Contact. Okay, so it's working, it's doing its thing, and it'll tell us, again, what it's planning on doing. So I'll add background images to the banner headers on those pages. Fantastic. By the way, one of the things that we're also going to do is, here in a second, if we look over here at our files that we've got a CSS folder, we've got a JS folder for JavaScript, right? And we've got our basic HTML, the 4 basic HTML pages. The index, which is our home, About Us, Contact, Services. Okay. Now, here in a second, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what it ended up doing for the images, because it more than likely is using images with basically a full like absolute path or external path to those images on pixels. And what we want to do is go ahead and grab those images and we'll bring those into, like, basically just download those to our project. So, okay, great. It did it. And it says, perfect. I've added beautiful background images to the banner header on all 3 pages. Services page is a modern interior design workspace image. Cool. About Us page is an elegant interior design with architectural details. Awesome. And Contact page, a stylish contemporary interior. Way to go. So it made those choices on its own. We'll see what it did. And each header now has a striking background image from pixels, a dark overlay. I love this. I'm curious to see what it ended up doing, but a dark overlay with a 50% opacity for text readability, which is great, because generally if you just toss an image behind text, especially if you have like well, actually white text or color text, it really doesn't matter. Most of the time that contrast isn't going to be good enough, so it's not going to be very readable. So great. Our AI designer thought about that and set it with a darker overlay. So it has white text that stands out against the images. It's professional, high impact visual presentation. So I'm going to go and keep those changes. But before I do, let's go take a look at what those changes actually look like in code. We are going to take a bit here, probably either in the next video or in the video right after that. I want to actually dive in and give you a tour of some of the code that it created. Again, The purpose of this course is going to be more about building code, even if you're not a coder. But at the same time, I do want to give an introduction into what some of that code is, because the more that you understand, the more abilities and more like truly awesome outcomes you're going to have. So knowledge is definitely your best friend when it comes to all of this. So let's go take a look. I'm going to go look at the services page where it says it brought in a modern interior design. Okay, services. Okay, great. Here I can actually see, here's the two different changes that it did. So by the way, in VS Code, what you can do is like an Option Z to get word wrap to come down. I'm going to do that. That's in a Mac anyway. Okay, so here in this section, it went class, page header, and then it went ahead and gave me a style tag. So it just did this inline. Not my favorite way of doing that. I would have actually preferred that being done in CSS, but it works. So style, background, did a linear gradient, cool. And then here is the image URL that it decided to go ahead and utilize. And it also went ahead and did center cover with a no repeat. Okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and click on keep. I can do it here. I can do it here. They're all the same. So I'm just going to go keep right here. Done. Now let's go take a look at those pages again. So I'm going to come back over here, and now actually should just automatically come in there. So if I click on services, that actually looks pretty sharp. Not too bad. Click over to about us. Perfect. I mean, the readability is right there. Great. Contact us, get in touch. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and, like I was saying, I want to take a look at a few other things inside of the code here, and some things that we're going to do for changes. By the way, any of this text, you can get in and just get comfortable in making some of these changes even yourself. But I'm also going to go over how can we just continue to keep letting AI make these changes for us. So again, here I'm seeing some of the different services, design consultation, renovation modeling, so on. Okay, our process all looks fantastic. About us, similar kind of styling. You can see it's got even a meet our team. And just imagine this being all placeholder things that you can go ahead and swap out. Some of the recognition awards, some of the testimonials. Cool. So let's go make a little change here. So let's say, we want to change our main font to something else. Change the let's see, header fonts. I'll stick with that. Change the header fonts to be more, I'll say, bold, and I'll go sans serif. So that way, because right now it's a little bit more traditional. Let's go and just give it more of a bold look. See what that comes out with. Okay. It's already starting. It's already done. And it made the changes over into the CSS file. So now I'm going to go ahead and take an opportunity to just go through some of the code that it did create. This is just going to be a quick tour, just a high level guided introduction to some of this code that it created. So just a little bit of HTML, CSS. We'll touch in to take a look at the JavaScript that it ended up creating, just so that, again, you can get comfortable with this. If you are already a web designer, then, again, you can skip this video and just go straight over to the next one. But for those of you that maybe this is the first time you're ever really looking at source code, it can be a little confusing on what's happening. So I just want to give a quick overview of HTML, CSS, and basic JavaScript. So in here, and I'm just going to go ahead and close this out. So we have a little bit more real estate. You can just open and close this, just clicking it. I can even get rid of this page, this side too, if I want to. Just click on this. You can go more full screen, but we're good here. So inside of here, this is my full HTML document for, again, this is index.html. This is going to be your home page. So from here, I can see I've got a couple different Google fonts that it decided to bring in. By the way, if you want to bring in other fonts that you go and choose, that's actually a great way to do it. And in fact, you can come over here and go over to Google Fonts, and you can find any font that you want and go ahead and say, hey, you know what? Use this. So, for example, if, let's see this one, Open Sans, which is a pretty decent font, actually. I could just grab this. I really don't even need to. I can go here, just grab this URL. But I bet if I even just told the AI to use Open Sans, it would work. But let's, before we start this, let's actually see what it did. Because remember, we just had it change fonts. Perfect. So it actually just changed this font. Now we're not using sans. We're now using actually sans serif. In fact, I think I even, did I ask it that correctly? Yeah, I did. I did ask it to do a sans serif. And so it told me here what font it's going to use and so on. Okay, so that's cool. And I can show you where it did it. So if I go over to the CSS, go to styles.css, we can see all this different styling that it used for this project. A pretty good amount. Okay, and pretty well organized, actually. We can see right here in the body, the font family it used. That's what it just changed it to. Now we're going to ask it to do something else. I'm actually just going to stay right here on the page and see if we can see the change in real time. So what I'm going to say, let's use Open Sans. And again, I can just go like that, or I can say, or I could go this font and just paste in the URL. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's use Open Sans, and then I'm just going to give it a heads up of where that is. Again, probably don't even need to do that. I could just do, let's use Open Sans. But I'm helping it out. So that really shouldn't take that long, but it does have to go check out that that website real quick. And it's going to have to make a link to it. So I can see here, it already made the change. Yep, we can see that right here. And it made a change on 5 different files. Why? Because it's going to change that link, or at least add a link over on those HTML files. If we go and take a look at those, we'll see that. Here you can see, and I'll just go open that up full. It removed this one. That's why it's in red. It removed this one and added this link for Open Sans, along with different weights. That's for bold and so on. So fantastic. So if I come back over and just say, okay, keep all those changes and go take a look, it's not going to be a huge difference, but you'll see a difference there. So it's just a little bit cleaner font. That is one way that you can just change the font real quick. You can also do the same type of thing with an image. So if I go back over here to, let's go to the home, and we can see this image here, which one of the things that's actually pretty slick that it did, honestly, I don't even know if it did on purpose. It could have been a side effect, but the brown that it's using here as like an accent color really kind of blends in with this image. So you can see some of that, those brown tones inside of the stairs, inside of the kitchen, and this table. Pretty cool. Now, I actually could say, hey, you know what? I don't even like this design. Let's try it again. And it'll create you a whole different design. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I like the design, but I'm going to change this image. So let's go back over to Pexels and let's just go find a site that we like. This one is pretty cool. I like this kitchen. So I'm just going to click into it. I'll grab the URL up at the top. It's going to know what to do with it. And let's just go back over and say, cool. Now change the homepage image to this. Bam. That shouldn't take very long either. After that, what we're going to do is have it actually download all of those images. That's going to take a little bit more time, and we'll probably do a little like stop and resume on the video. All right, cool. It's already done. So I can even see where it changed to here. By the way, this is what I was talking about. If you can see, this is the actual full URL to go out to those images. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, I want all of those images to be downloaded in an images folder. That way we don't have to worry about it linking out over to another image, and maybe that image gets removed or something else. And now we have a broken image on our site. We want to have control over the entire site. So we'll go ahead and go keep, come back over, do a little refresh. Voila. It did exactly what I asked, and we're looking pretty good. Again, also another thing you can do, you can change color scheme and say, hey, utilize these two colors. This will be the primary color. This will be the accent color. Take a chance to go ahead and play around with some of the text, some of the images, what is created. Have it make some changes for you and see how that turns out. Now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to have it go download those photos. So now let's download all of those photos or images, whichever, and put them in an images folder. Now it would probably make the folder anyway, even if I didn't tell it. But again, wherever you can go ahead and give it a little bit of extra instruction to do exactly what you want it to do, all the better. This is also going to go through allow. So what I can do here too is I can either just keep clicking allow, basically babysitting the process, or I can click on this and go enable auto approve if I want. I'm just going to babysit it. So let's go allow. And now as it goes through and starts bringing all of these down, by the way, it also opened up my terminal so I can actually see what's happening in my terminal. That's what this is. There, it's just going through. What it's doing is it's doing a curl to go ahead and go get those images and then bring them into my local. we should be able to see them coming in. Actually, if I open this up, I have a new images folder like I told it to do, and I can see some of these images that it's bringing in. So we're looking pretty good. Actually, probably pretty close to being done. Okay, so it brought in all the images, and now it's updating all the HTML pages to bring in those local images. Because remember, it's got to change all the text to go ahead and bring those in. And we can actually see that happen if we go to, let's say, index, and we scroll down, we start seeing like here, this images. This would be an example. I'm going to close this down so we can see a little bit better. This will be an example of something that's going to get changed to point to one of these images here. And you can see it just did. So it's kind of nice to see these changes happen in real time. And I'll just go keep those changes. It's almost done. Oh, it's done. And it gives me a little summary of what it did and how awesome it was. Cool. So now if we go back over, we're not going to see any different, but it is good to always check and make sure things are working as you expected. So if I come back over here and just refresh, great, everything is still there, but now it's using images that are local. Okay. So from here, we're going to start moving on to actually getting this new site that we created up and hosted. But before we do, I do want to keep actually just going down a little bit more on some of the actual code that it did create. I kind of went a little off topic there as I was showing some changes, but again, we have our style sheets, and CSS just stands for Cascading Style Sheets. So it's a way to link over to basically the code that it tells your site what to look like. In a concept of interior design, imagine it as HTML that's your house, that's your foundation, that's your building. I have a room here, I have an upstairs, I have a downstairs. Here's all the different major pieces, but how they look, for example, like what paint you would use on the color on the walls, the size of the room, the decorations in the room, all of those things would be CSS. That is going to be the instructions to tell your site how to look. HTML is actually stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and that's what it is. It's a markup language. It is elements. It's a series of elements, and in this case, we can see you have a full HTML element, you have your head element, and your body element. These are the main base pieces for any web page out there. And inside your body is where you're actually going to have all of your main pieces. By the way, this actually created code that is full HTML, semantically correct. So it actually did a pretty decent job. So in here, I have my navigation with my nav tag. And you always have opening and closing tags with HTML. So I have my opening tag, my closing tag, and inside of that, I have some of my div elements, or in this case, it's a div, but inside of it is your menu. So here we have your list with your menu items. And if you wanted to add a new one, easy enough to do, you can just copy that, make a new one, and that would be sign up. Whatever you want to call it, right? Let's go ahead and just get rid of that though. By the way, I can do that and AI is still going to help me go ahead and keep making that up. But I can also say, you know what, add a page for a gallery. In fact, that's actually a good idea. I'm actually going to make a page for a gallery. While I'm showing you guys what this is, let's get that to actually do some work. We can get rid of that change. And I'm going to say, now let's build a portfolio gallery page. Cool. So now it's going to start going. And it'll wind up updating actually all the HTML pages because all of them have these nav links and all of those are going to have to change over. Again, you got to babysit and go allow. We'll also have to see, did it actually download these images or not? Okay. Keep it low. And anyway, from here, you can go into any one of these pages. Let's say if I go into services, and let's just close this out. All the text is right here. So I can see, here's my different sections. Here's my header with my H1 tag, my paragraph tag. All this text you can just change easily on the fly. For example, if I say, instead of what we offer, I would say our services. No, actually, that's actually saying up above. I'll say what we do, ... Save, go take a look, and that'll be a change right here. By the way, save, Command or Control S will save, just like any other system. Cool. And we come back over. Let's see how it's doing on that gallery page. Oh, not too bad. It's creating some new changes on the CSS file. It's also creating a new JavaScript file. Let's go take a look at what it's creating there. So if I go to our JS folder, inside of that, I have a scripts.js. So here was all the code that it created in the first place. So I have, and I'm not going to go deep into this, just giving you a quick glimpse so you can, again, kind of understand a little bit of what's happening behind the scenes. But I do have a couple of my variables that were set. This is a constant variable for the burger. The burger is actually that little hamburger icon that's up in the upper right hand side. That's for your responsive nav. And so this is just going and creating a document query selector for that class called burger. Oh, I didn't mean to break it. And then once we have that assigned to a variable, we can use that in other areas. Like in this case, adding an event listener for a click event, meaning with this, when you go and click on that little icon, it's going to open up your responsive navigation, which is normally hidden otherwise. So that's what it's doing here, and so on. And then what it just built out is for the gallery items, since we just built that out. So all of this, again, I'm not going to dive into too much JavaScript. This is actually one of my favorite things to do, though. So we'll probably have a whole nother course on just building some of this out, both with AI and just from scratch. Because the more that you understand, again, just the more fun you can have, more you can do. Cool. So I'm going to keep those changes, and we're going to go take a look at what it did. Okay. Awesome. Now I've got a new portfolio page. And if I click onto that, that's the same background graphic as my services. Well, that's kind of lame. We're going to change that up. But other than that, actually, this is pretty slick. So each one of these has its own hover effect that looks fantastic. And, yep, it has a filtering system. Thought that's what I saw in that JavaScript. So you can build that out. That looks pretty slick. Okay. The only thing I would say is Cool, but change the banner graphic on the portfolio page. Cool. We'll go ahead and keep that. And we'll see how that ends up looking. Do a little refresh. Perfect. And from there, let's move into actually getting some of this code up online so you can share with your friends, you can start building out a portfolio, and you can start seeing a little bit of web hosting that's beyond just in your local. We're also going to do the same thing with GitHub Pages. It's another way of hosting, especially a simple site like this, hosting it for free. All right, well, now that we've built this site, let's go ahead and get it actually on a hosting account so that we can share this around. Because again, right now we're only seeing it in our local, and you can even see that up in the browser window. You can see that I'm just seeing this on my local. You can't share that with anybody. So if you already have a hosting account set up, fantastic. You can kind of follow along with this, and you can push this up. If you already know how to get your website files up on a hosting account, you can skip this entirely and just move on. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a free account that you can set up. It's not the greatest, but while you're learning, the more resources that you have that are free, the better. So if you just go to freehosting.com, again, it's not the best web hosting. There's definitely much, much better out there. I mean, you could use something like even just cheap shared hosting like HostGator or Bluehost or even GoDaddy. There's a lot of different web hosting platforms out there that are also fairly inexpensive. You can even just set up an AWS server if you want. That's a little bit more complex, is actually setting up an EC2 server and going down that route. Or actually, AWS now has some easy ways of setting up static sites, ones like this, that are pretty easy to get started. But we're going to go ahead and just go into this one because, again, it's free. Don't pay for anything on this, just use the free. So if you go sign up, you can go through the process. You can see, okay, free hosting, order now. Now you do have to, if you're going to go down this path, you do have to have some kind of a domain name. It's not a bad idea to have at least some kind of domain name if you're wanting to start playing around with web hosting. I will be showing you an example of what you can do even without web hosting or without a domain name on what you can do just with GitHub. But if you do have a domain name, fantastic. You can go ahead and point that straight over to here. For example, I have a hosting account, or I mean a domain name that I can go ahead and just utilize. In this case, I set up a one of my domain names is webdeveloperpath.com, and I've already set that up. So I put it in here. I actually did this. I will use my existing domain and update my name servers. Now, if you wanted to, you could say register a new domain. It's probably not super expensive, but you don't have to. You could just go, I'll use an existing one that I already have. And you can toss it straight into here. I just put in web developer path and then com, click use. It'll go to a checkout and you can just go through the path. Again, I just keep it free. Don't bring in any add-ons or anything. And just follow it until you actually have your account set up. I'm going to actually go ahead and log in so you can see what happens when you have your account set up. I'm not a robot and I'm logging in. So once you have your account set up, you have a domain name in. By the way, this is pretty ugly for normal web hosting interface, but again, it's free. You can definitely, again, use any other web hosting platform out there, or even just, again, GitHub, which I'm going to show you in a sec. So now that I have this set up though, and by the way, I had to go through a process of getting my DNS set up to point this domain over to here. And I can actually show you what that looks like. I bought this domain over on GoDaddy. So I'm just going to go to GoDaddy. I might already be logged in. I hope so. I am. So I'm already logged into GoDaddy. This is where I bought that domain. So if I jump in and I go my products, and I can go find that domain real quick. And that's actually, it's right here. This is, well, that's not where I want to go because I don't want to get into that. I'll go into my products. So my dropdown, go my products. And this is, if you happen to use GoDaddy, you can use this. Oh yeah, just brought me to there. Scroll down. And I'm going to go right here to this domain, and I'm going to go over to DNS or to manage. I'm just going to click DNS. And then what I need to do is I actually need to change the name servers. This is one path you can do, and kind of the easiest path in this case. Go to my name servers, and I'm going to change those over to the free hosting name servers. You can actually see those inside of here. I know it's a whole lot happening, whole lot going on this page, but if I look down here, I can see this is name server 1 and this is name server 2. So I'm just going to use those, and I put those in, again, name servers, copy and paste, name server 1, name server 2 for free hosting, change name servers, done. This may take up to like 30 minutes to actually take effect, sometimes even longer. I mean, they actually say it can take, for propagation, it could take a day or two. Generally, it's way faster than that. So I would expect you start seeing some change in there within a half an hour. So until that's actually fully in effect, this won't say active, it will say pending. Once it is fully active and it's over, if I open that up, I can see a little bit more information about my site or my hosting. And I can visit the website, and I can log into direct admin. That's actually its type of cPanel or portal to allow you to start updating some things. So for example, if I click on visit website, it should open up a new tab, and this is its little placeholder. Great. So that's working. Again, that may not be what you see right away because it may not have taken effect. So give it some time if it needs to take in effect to become active. But I'm going to go in here and log into direct admin. It'll open up a new tab, and it'll send me to here. From this spot, I can go through anything from domain setup. I can start building out databases and so on. Again, we're going to keep this real simple. What we want to do is come down either to File Manager, and we can actually just manually upload all those files. That will do it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can set up an FTP connection so that we can actually just upload all the files automatically from VS Code. So let's go to, and by the way, there is a lot of other things you can do inside of here. You can even start building out new little websites and so on. But we are going to go to FTP management right here.
If you don't see this, you can also find this. I believe it's under account management. Yep. Account manager, FTP management. Either way. And from here, we have one that's already, it already exists. We can also go and create a new one. So I'm going to go create new FTP account, give it a username. I'll just call this design. Again, you can call whatever you want. And some password. Let's just go. What we actually want this to be is at the domain level. So that's more of at the root. That's what we want. So when we're setting up this FTP account, again, use domain and then just click modify. Cool. Okay. And we can see here's the full path. We can see a simple password. I'll change that later, but for now that'll work. So you'll see some of your information right here. And this will be your username. So here's your path and this. This actually should. Let's see if we even need to put in that path with this. So we're going to start with this. Going to head back over. And I'm going to close this down for right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over to, in VS Code, we're going to go to extensions. And we're going to do a search real quick for FTP. And there's a few different ones here. One I actually like is more, because almost any of these are going to work. Like, actually, this one, not too bad. Let's see if we go SFTP, which, by the way, is secure file transfer protocol versus just file transfer protocol. Just means that it needs to go over like a HTTPS. It needs to be, it's more of a secure connection. It's a different port. This is what I generally use. So we'll go ahead and let's take a look at, make sure this one looks like it's not being supported. You can see this little icon saying this extension is being deprecated. So let's actually skip that version of it and use one of these others. Now, one of the things you can do while you're looking at these extensions, one, look for those little icons that make sure that the extension isn't deprecated, and take a look at not just the amount of stars. That's actually not a bad indicator either, but how many people are using it. That's a great indicator on this is a better extension and it's more stable. So in this case, if we look at this one, SFTP, it's got 1.2 million downloads on it, or installs. So we'll use that. So again, you can go SFTP. There are others, but we'll use that for now because that should work. Actually, it will for sure work on both secure file transfer protocol and just regular FTP, which is what we're going to use in this one. If you get this where you say trust publisher and install, go ahead and just go with the trust publisher. Cool. So now that's in there. And if we go back over, I can go up and start pulling this in. So I can go on a Mac, it's going to be like Shift Command P, otherwise Shift Control P, and it brings up your little command palette in VS Code. So from here, I can just type in SFTP. Again, there are other routes to do this. That just happens to be one. So that's what I want to do. I want to go SFTP config. So I'll just click straight onto that or click enter. That creates this .vs code directory, and inside of it, an sftp.json file. This allows us to go ahead and start connecting to that web hosting account that we just created. So in this case, I actually don't want to do protocol SFTP. I'm going to keep it simple. So I'm going to remove the S on that, and it's just going to be FTP. For port, I can even see AAS kind of helping me out. It's trying to tell me, hey, so if you're just going to use FTP, might as well make this port 21 because that's going to be your FTP port versus 22, which is the secure port. So change port to 21. Username. Remember, we had a design at web developer path. It will be, again, whatever you have right here for login. That's going to be your username. Let's go ahead and, for right now, let's keep remote path what it is for now. Upload on save, false, for now. I'm going to show you also what to do on that to go and make things a little faster. I actually like to have that as true. Open SSH, I don't need that. Host, localhost, we actually want to change the host. So I'm going to, oh, and it didn't have a password spot. I also need to have a password in here. So let's just add it ourselves. Let me go through that one more time, just so you can see it. Okay. Start it one more time. So right from here, underneath that, just go enter, put some quotes, type in password, then colon, and then put in your actual password also in quotes. And that was just something simple. And you do need to put a comma after that. Okay. But it still doesn't know where to go yet. So, and by the way, the name doesn't matter. You can call that whatever you want. I'm going to save this, but it's not going to connect yet. I do need to figure out what is the instruction, like what the actual host is for this. So I'm going to close that down. And let's just see here real quick. Let's click on this. See what kind of information it gives us off the bat. Not a whole lot, actually. Generally, what you're going to wind up having is the FTP is going to be off of the domain name. So let's just go off of what's the standard. Sometimes with sites like this, like web hosting sites, it'll have a very specific host that you need to use, but kind of the standard is just FTP and then the domain. So let's just try that first. Okay, once I save that, I have this set up. If I go over to this little icon here, this is the SFTP icon. This, if everything's cool in the world, it will connect. You'll see that here is everything in your files. If we go back over to the web hosting and we go down to, let's go to its home dashboard. If we go to File Manager, here you can see some of what you're seeing there. So what we really want to do is this public HTML file. And if I click into that, that's that basic index file that's already there. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to upload all of our own stuff. So what we want to do is go into this folder right here. So in remote path, we just go public underscore HTML /. Click save. You'll see this update up here and bam. So that just sends me straight here. And this is just that, again, basic placeholder index page that it already has. So what we're going to do is we are going to go back over to all of our files now. So again, top icon here, here's all of our files. We don't need to upload this, the VS Code folder, but all the rest of this we do. So we can select the top, go down to the bottom, holding shift down, and actually select everything and just right click and say upload file and upload everything. Or you can upload folder. Okay, that's one way of doing it. And in fact, that's actually what we're going to do to just kick this off. I'm going to go CSS, upload folder. Okay, and down here at the bottom, I can see its progress. So it's done. Same thing for images, upload folder. Same thing for JavaScript, upload folder. And again, all of that's going to be happening down here. The images folder is going to take the longest to actually upload. And then I'm just going to go the same thing for all of these. Upload file, upload file. Again, you can also just go through, multi-select if you need to. Now it is still taking a while to upload that. Why are you taking so long? Come on. We should actually even be able to see some of this updating over here. If we click refresh. Yeah, I can see my CSS is there. Some of the images are coming in. Let's see. Just a few. It's taking a little while. There's probably some kind of throttle on the FTP because, again, it's a free hosting account. So what I'm going to do is while you just wait for all of those files to actually finish getting uploaded, if you need to go back and redo it, just follow the same path of upload. And then we'll go take a look at what this actually looks like now that it's up live. Okay, those finally finished all uploading. It actually took a little bit of time because it got stuck. That's what was happening with those images. So I actually had to just close out VS Code and open it back up and then re-upload those directories. And then it all worked. And then I just multi-select or, selected all of these files and then uploaded those. Now let's go see what that looks like. So if we jump back over, again, we should be able to see all of those files inside of our hosting account. There they are. Just come back over. Yep, there they all are. And if I go look at this home page and just click refresh, fantastic. So I have my website all set up here, and I can click around. I can see all the different pages with all the images, and it's just a free hosting account. Now from here, what we're going to do is we're going to do the same type of thing, but we're going to go through GitHub and set up basically a free way of hosting a site on GitHub. And it will give us a chance to actually create a new repository and show you a little bit of how to work with GitHub and to use AI to do some of that for you. So we'll cover that in the next video. Okay, now that we've got this all hosted up on free hosting, let's go take another route and let's go get this all up on GitHub. So what we're going to do, and remember GitHub is right here like this, we are going to have AI help us out with this, right? Now you could go ahead and set up your repository over on Git. You could bring it straight into here, do kind of, a git init and bring it in. But what I'm going to do is a couple different steps. The first, just so that you can kind of see how this works, is let's set up a MCP server. That's one thing. You should be able to actually get away without even having the MCP server. In fact, you know what? I'm going to try it without. I'm going to remove that extension because I do have that installed. So I'm just going to uninstall it. And let's try it without that. Now, and then we'll find out if it's better to have that MCP server set up for some of these basic Git commands, because we may need it. So I'm going to open up my chat and I'm just going to say, let's create a, although I do have, bear with me for a second, I do have other Git extensions. I just want to make sure that none of those are going to make an issue on this. Nope, I think it's just Git GoPilot as far as being installed. So we should be fine. Okay. So I'm going to say, let's create a repository for this and call it, let's call it designer website. Okay. Click enter. Let's see it do its stuff. We still might go ahead and set up that MCP server because I do think that it'll be interesting for you to see how that process goes. So, but right now it's going to run just off of the fact that we connected to Git earlier. So I can just go git init and allow, and it's running commands here in the terminal. You can see it ran this command, and that just initiates Git inside of that root directory. Now it's creating the git ignore file. You can go in and take a look at any of those. Then it's going to add all the different files over into it. So I'm going to click allow. It also created a README. It probably hasn't really written anything to it yet, but it created it. And here again, it's running different command line where it's going to do a git commit and with a simple commit message. Okay. And we're just going to keep going, allow as it goes through its process. And then we'll be able to actually see this new repository show up here in our repositories. It's not there yet, but this is where you'll wind up seeing it right here in repositories. Okay. Go keep. Okay, let's go ahead and see, did it actually do it? You know what? It did not. It did not create that repository. So let's do this. Let's go back over to extensions. And from here, we can just look up MCP, but I am going to just keep this open, and we can see I have installed, recommended, and MCP servers. In MCP servers, and I can just kind of drag that up, I can see this one here called GitHub. That's one way you can get to it. You can also just search for it. You can also search for any other MCP server, just doing like @ and MCP. That brings up a lot of different MPC servers, just different ways of doing the same thing. So go back and show it this way. And for GitHub, I go install. Okay, it's going to give you a little pop-up for authentication. Go allow. That's going to go over to our GitHub. You do want to be logged in already. This is going to go through that authentication process, similar to like what we did when we set up our GitHub connection with Copilot into VS Code. So I'm just going to click continue. Now it'll send me right back, and great. So let's do this again. I'm going to say, oh, by the way, just to go through a little bit of what an MCP server is, it basically allows us to connect to different services or tools. This allows AI to go do more things, even things that are behind the scenes. And you can have what's called an AI agent actually doing different tasks alongside of just building out code. So we're going to say create a repository. Let's do this again. This time I'm going to say, make this a little different. I'm going to go create a repository for, let's say, sample design website. Cool. By the way, here you can see different tools that you have connected. So you can configure them as well. So if you click on this, we should be able to see if we scroll down here, GitHub MCP server, and it is checked. So it is connected. And then here are all the different things that it can do. And so this is going to help us out. So create a repository called sample design. And then I can just say, and push this website to it. Pushing is just a way of getting code up to that repository. Okay, so now it's going to go through that process of different commands. And so we'll have to go through allow. Okay, and allow. And again, we see some of this at work. Let's see if we go back over to our GitHub repositories now. Great. Now I'm seeing our sample design website. And if I click into it, I can see some of what it's starting to do. So let's go back over and let's keep going down this process. Again, just babysitting the AI so it can go through all of this process. I really don't need to see the terminal right now, so I'm just going to close it by clicking this X and just keep going through allow. Okay, good. Setting up for known hosts. Now it does have a permission denied here. So it wasn't able to read from the remote repository. So we may have to take a look at that, but let's keep going down the path and see if it can't figure it out. Okay, so now it says the repository has been created successfully, and it gives me a link to jump over and take a look at it. It'll be the same page that we just looked at. But we're encountering authentication issues with pushing via the command line. You have a few options. To push your code, option 1, use GitHub, desktop, or VS Code. Okay, we can do that. Option 2, set up authentication. You can set up GitHub authentication by either going down, again, this path with it, a personal access token and so on. And you can upload files directly. So just different paths that you can do. It should be able to actually get that code up there though. Yeah, it didn't get any files up there. So let's see if we can't actually find a way to get it to get that authentication. Let's use the Git MCP server authentication to push these files. And actually, you know what we might need to do? Because what could be happening here is the fact that we did already set up some files inside of here for Git earlier. And so it might have had some connection issues. But let's try it again. Let's use GitHub MCP server authentication to push these files up to the repository. Or we could just say up to the repo. If you need to get rid of any existing Git setup files, go ahead and then start from scratch to set up the repo. Again, you don't have to write all this out, and you could also just try setting up from scratch. Also, I could go through another process to actually just show you how to work with Git, but that's not really the case for this course. The point of this course is really learning how to just talk and work through things with AI. So I'm just going to go like that, and we're going to see together if this can figure it out and go through the process. So in this case, I can just tell you a little bit of what it's trying to do. So this is the command that's trying to run from the terminal, which is RM stands for remove. So it's trying to remove the Git directory. You don't see that over here because it's a hidden file, but it's trying to remove that, and then it's going through and actually running Git init again, and this actually might help. So let's try it. So let's go allow. So again, it did listen and say, yeah, okay, I'll try starting this from scratch again, and we'll give this a go. So, all right, now let me use the GitHub MCP tools to push the files. First, let me get the file contents. Okay, so it's going through. And let me try using git push with a different approach, creating a simple script to handle the authentication. All right. Allow. Perfect. Now the website has successfully been pushed to GitHub. And here's the repository. It's on the main branch. Files pushed 41 because of all the images. And just gives us a little bit of a rundown. Now, if we go back over and take a look at this, refresh this page, that's the repository. Awesome. We see all our files. Again, that's a great example of how you can just help AI kind of work through a process, just like if you were talking to a junior dev and going through what you need and what you need to have happen. So in this case, we not only have all the files up here, and I can see all the code. If I jump into, let's say, the contact us, I can see all that. Okay. But I can also see some of the instructions. This is what that README is for. And that's a markdown file. That's what that MD stands for. So inside of that README, it gives instructions of what this is, the different pages, the technologies used. In this case, it's super simple. It's a little bit of JavaScript, but it's mostly just HTML5 and CSS. Here's the file structure, usage, and so on. It even put the design inspiration for it was this site. So it gives you all of that. It even gives a license, which in this case is just saying it's trademarked, or not trademarked, but it's a copyright for design for your home. So super, super basic. Okay. This doesn't put it up online. This doesn't allow you to just see like we did for hosting, but there's a real easy path to do so. All we have to do is jump right over to settings. And in settings, we have a left side navigation with a lot of different options that we're not going to go into. We're going to jump straight down to this one called pages. That's it. And from here, we can actually put a deployment, or basically just a simple way of saying, let's go ahead and get this repository viewable online. And so I can say deploy from a branch. Cool. Let's pick the branch. Remember, that branch just has one main branch. Again, not to go too deep into it, but for Git, you wind up having different branches. Generally, you have either a main or a master branch. And then you have other branches with different changes. Remember what I was saying earlier, where if you have a bunch of different developers working on different projects, you could have a branch for this developer's project and another branch for this developer's project. And then those could be reviewed and then merged into that main branch or master branch. Again, I'm not going to dive any deeper than that, but that's just a quick little overview of what that is. And if we go look at the code again, then we can see right here, here are our branches. It's just a little drop down. I only have one, and it's called main. Okay, so back over to it. Pages, settings, pages, deploy from a branch. We can choose the branch. I only got one, so I'm going to say main. And I can even choose if there's a certain directory I wanted to jump into. I actually just want it to be root, so I'm just going to click save. And then when you set up your Git account, it had you use a username. Whatever that username was, not email, but username that you created for your Git account, you're going to use that to view this page. So for me, my username on this is WAPSI. It's a domain name that I have, and you can even see it right here, WAPSI. So if I go wapsi.github.io. Now this is github.io, not github.com.
Yeah.
But if I go, oh, and I need to go to the sample site. So this is just a quick way. It'd be awesome if it gave you just a quick little jump over to it here, but I don't see that. So I'm going to give you an idea of how this goes. If I take this right here, this sample design website, I'll just copy that. I'm going to open up a new tab and I'm going to go WAPSI, because again, that is my, the username for my Git account. So wapsi.github.io / and then paste in that. In this case, it's sample-design-website. Click enter. Bam. There's my website. Now it's viewable and hosted for free. But of course, I'm using a github.io, which again, I wouldn't want to do this professionally. But if I want to get up something just quick and easy, something shareable, or even something for a portfolio, but I don't want to pay for web hosting, that's a perfect way to go ahead and do that and get that set up. And you can set that to point to any of your directories, or any of your repositories. So now if you actually wanted to take another step further, you can come back over to that pages, and there is a spot where it says custom domain. After you get that set up, where you can put in a custom domain into here, and you can actually go through a process to get one of your own domain names pointing over to here. I'm not going to go through that whole process right now, but if you want, that's a fun challenge for you. There's instructions on how to configure that. It's really not that difficult. It does take a little bit of patience because you got to wait for it to get set up. So again, it's that DNS propagation when you're pointing a domain name over to anywhere. In this case, it might be you're going to set up what's called an A record or a C name, depending on which, if you're going to go like a full domain name or a subdomain name, either way. But again, that's going to go a little too deep for the use of this course. But if you want to do that, you can set that up. Cool. So again, that brings us pretty close to a close here. There is one last thing I just want to show you. And since we do have that already set up on Git, is if I do go in here and let's say I want to make a change. For example, let's see. Let's go back over to the site. Let's say I want to change the text, creating spaces you'll love forever. And what's this say? Okay. So I'll just say in here, let's change the home text. And I'll just put it in quotes just so you can see it real easy. Creating spaces you'll love forever to design we know you'll love. Cool. Okay, and I'll just put that in quotes as well, just to make sure it knows what to do. Then I can also tell it and then push up those changes. It will probably do that on its own now that it knows that I've got this all set up with Git. But let's go ahead and just give it a little bit extra instruction. I'll just do that on its own line. Then push up the changes. All right, now that really shouldn't take that long. So now you'll see that go through. And I'll just say keep on the change. Then we need to allow it to do that command. And you can see the commit message. It's running. And it's done. Okay. Now let's go over here. It may take a little bit of time for that to fully sink in as far as the change, but let's take a look. Yep, it's going to take just a little bit more. But if we go back over to, so be patient with that. Come back, wait for like maybe 10 minutes or something, come back and take a look. But if we go back over to the repository, so that's here. I'll just go to the main part of the repository. And if I go to there we go. I can go here to check out different commits. Here was that last commit that just got made. So to update the hero title text, and I can click into that too. And I can see, okay, it changed this text, creating spaces you'll love forever to design we know you'll love in lowercase. Okay. So that's just a quick look. Now let's see if those actually updated. Yep. And they did. So now they're updated there. By the way, if we jump back over, remember we also had this set up for on the web hosting. Now that's not going to make a change on those yet, but if we went back over to that web hosting, here. Okay, now it's still going to have the old stuff, right? But I do want to show you, before we close out here, what you can do as far as with that FTP. So remember, two different paths. You can use GitHub, or you can use a hosting account, just different ways of getting your site up online. But if I come back over here to that SFTP JSON, where it's basically the configuration for how I want the file transfer to work, if I change that upload on save over to true, now when I go and save a file, it's going to automatically update and toss it up. So if I go to that index file, now it should already be changed to what we just asked it to do. And right here is where it did it. It says design we know you'll love. And if we go ahead and take that and just Control S to save, or I can even make a new change and toss it up. In fact, why don't I just do that just so we can see that? Design for your life. ... And then I'll Control S or Command S. Okay. Remember, it's on autosave now. So now when I save, it automatically jumps up. So if I go and refresh now, remember, I am on the hosting account here. If I refresh, that's going to automatically be updated. So now I challenge you to go ahead and start building out a few new projects, different projects. Then go through and make additions to each one of those. Try different paths for hosting so you get really comfortable with this is just how basic hosting is set up, file structure, folder structure, all of that. And same thing over with Git. The more that you get familiar with those things, the easier it's going to be for all future projects. All right. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the next course.